Welcome back to Man Crossing New Horizons. I'm Daydan. As you see what's going on our lovely island of Fawnhollow today, and I can tell you that today in UK is, well, at least where I live, is incredibly windy. So you might hear like a constant sort of a gale going on outside. I don't know if this is we're in the middle of a storm right now, if it's still a continuous one, but it does remind me about this couple of months ago or whatever. There's that massive storm and I was recording some episodes. I wonder if they've come out yet. I don't remember. I think it was a Chicory episode. It might have been one of the earlier ones. Oh, there it goes, picking up again. Just You walk out there, you're going to be blown away, probably. Well, not really, but still. Hello, everyone. Nan Fawnhallow, it's 3:29 PM on Thursday, April 7th, 2022. Now, for today's announcements, we have a visitor staying on campsite, but of course, this visitor will just be a temporary visitor because we will not be inviting him to stay at Fawnhallow. I apologise to whoever it may be. But yeah, what's going to be vibing? I forgot what I was. Do I have anything to really talk about? I've been watching some of the Taskmaster episodes because it turns out we have a lot of them uploaded just to a YouTube channel, and Taskmaster was actually something I only discovered. I'm going to say kind of recently, like within the past 6 months or so. I can't remember why. I think I talked about it actually on Animal Crossing. If anyone wants to go through trying out the exact source of that, which I would not recommend because that sounds very boring. That sounds really boring. Why is the game feel so framey right now? We see we have a lost bag here, but if you don't know what Taskmaster is, it's a British TV show hosted by Greg Davies and hold on, what's his name? Alex. Well, I don't know his surname now I think about it. So that's a little bit painstakingly made by hand. I assume this is going to be Lily's because I don't think we're good enough friends of Fauna yet to actually get much of a read off of hero items. We're basically Greg Davies acts as the Alex Horn, that's his name, the Taskmaster, where he sets out like these challenges to do using like these either very arbitrary rules or very like weird, wacky, sort of strange challenges, and then the contestants basically had to fulfill them to the best of their ability, or competing against each other, or sometimes cooperating depending on the task. I'm not really going to talk all that much about Taskmaster because I'm not that well versed, because I kind of say what you want about YouTube. Their player is one of the best players, I think. Oh, it's Cherry. It's one of the best video playback players, I suppose, on a lot of different platforms. Like I certainly like it more than Twitch. It's better than way better than things like Facebook and Instagrams. Twitter's is terrible. But to be fair, I suppose that's to be expected with YouTube being like a video site and all that sort of thing. So, of course, in usual me fashion, I watched on double speed. Oh, we don't know who our visitor is for today, do we? Oh, it's Red. Let's go see what he's got selling. I forgot what I was going to say. I was going to say something, but I forgot. Oh yeah, watch on double speed, and I basically sort of just like skip through. Like, I don't watch any of the prize segments because I don't really care about the prize segments. I just want to see the tasks. Oh, that's a fake Rosetta Stone, isn't it? Crazy Red. At least I think this is a fake Rosetta Stone. It looks very, very blue. I want a closer look. No, maybe it's just for lighting. No, that's pretty blue. I'm not going to buy that. I don't think we're going to buy any of these because well, actually this one's legitimate, but we don't need it. This one's fake. This one's always legitimate, I think. So we can just sort of take our leave. And Crazy Red, if you wanted me to buy something, you should probably have something that I want to buy. Just saying, you got to know your audience. I'm probably the only one who ever buys stuff from you. So you're not doing particularly well in that regard. It's actually got to a point where for Crazy Red, it's technically a better business decision for him to not visit Fawnhallow. Well, I don't know, because maybe other people are invited and buy some of his furniture items, which is fair enough. I can't imagine they would. But yeah, not really, and I skip through the price things. Like, there's a lot of Taskmaster I haven't actually watched. I just kind of there to see what sort of creative tasks they come up with and try and like think about what I would do if I was in that situation going to do that task. Oh, I forgot. We need to go find Lily first before we actually talk to people. Ugh, what a nuisance. Oh, well, we can say hi and just immediate leave. Oh. Wait, do you give us a recipe first, or do we have to talk about the thing? Okay, no, you give a recipe first, so that's good. Yeah, so it's always been nice to see what sort of things you do with tasks, because a big part of a Taskmaster is not only like doing the tasks, like often the tasks are given to you in a very straightforward way with like some rules and technicalities to make sure that you don't do anything which completely undermines the entire task, but a lot of it is trying to basically sort of skirt around the rules and think up like creative solutions. Well, either a creative solution or a creative workaround or a creative application or something, or bending the rules in your favour if you can interpret them a different way, etc., etc. And that's a lot of fun, I suppose. I suppose the reason I find it fun, again, is the reason I find puzzles fun. It's kind of like a lateral thinking puzzle in some certain sense. Like, I'm going to be honest, not all lateral thinking puzzles are created equal. No, I don't think... Oh, yeah, I was trying to look for Lily, that's right. That's why we're not going to Fawners. But we haven't seen Lily about, which is a bit of a problem. I mean, it could be Fawners. I don't... Oh, there you are, Lily. I forgot what I was going to say. Yeah, not all lateral thinking puzzles are created equal. Because I remember once for my birthday, I can't remember who gave it to me, but someone gave me like a small book of lateral thinking puzzles. Because that's a thing people like to give me when I was younger, you know, being like, oh, she likes brain teasers, she likes puzzles, she likes smart things and science, and to a certain extent I do. Well, I mean, not to a certain extent, I do, I suppose is the end of that. But I also like other things. I super love plushies and that sort of thing. I like creative aspects and things as well. But I forgot what I was going to say. Yes, I can't remember. I think it might have been my piano teacher, strangely enough, back in the day. He was a very nice person. I assume he's still teaching piano now. I don't really know who. He was quite old, to be fair, but he was lovely. I think it's because he had this book. Like, he had this, like... Because often parents and, like, siblings or, like, family members could often, like, sit and watch a person who played a piano. And, of course, me and my sister both played piano. So sometimes she would have her lesson first and I would have my lesson immediately after. Sometimes I'd be in the room, just sort of like listening to her play, watching her, I suppose, practice in that sort of sense. And she, the teacher, he often provided these like books on the side for like people to read. There's one book that basically, instead of like spending her lesson, me practicing, like, oh, that's not what I wanted to do, practicing certain, like, you know, my pieces, my scales and that sort of thing, I would just like sit in the lesson and read that book. I don't know, I found it a very interesting book. I don't really remember all too much of it, sorry to say, but it's basically some sort of like a kid-friendly version of an encyclopedia, I suppose. It's not really an encyclopedia, it's much more fun, I suppose. It's like those DK books, if not Donkey Kong, but well, there might be a British publication, I don't really know, but those books where they are basically a compendium, I suppose, about something, and they're often presented in more interesting ways. The only page, I cannot remember anything about that book, except for one of the two-page spread was about types of clouds, and the only cloud I remember is a cumulus, and I think there was also another cloud called Strippus or something like that? Stirius? I can't read it called. But that's the only like page I remember from that book. But I suppose he took me reading that all the time to be like, oh, you know, she really likes puzzles. They really likes all these sort of puzzly brain teaser like things, and you know, he's not wrong. And I mean, I'm saying it as if it was him who gave it to me. I'm not actually 100% certain. It might not have been him, but I think it was. He gave me a little, either for Christmas or for my birthday, I can't remember. It's a very sweet gesture now I think back to it, but you know, I didn't really understand the sort of not gravity of it at the time, but really how much it meant. A sort of like lateral thinking puzzle book, and I remember reading it, and you know, but the thought of a gift is more important than the actual gift itself, I think, for me in a lot of cases. So I'll be honest, and this clearly had a lot of thought. But the actual book itself, the lateral thinking puzzles, I got really annoyed at a lot of the times. I feel like I brought this up before, but it was a very tiny book. It was about I'd say like 10 by 10 centimeters, probably a lot, like 8 by 8 centimeters, like one of those sort of pocket books or something. But a lot of the puzzles in it were just inane, is probably what I'd say. Like, it's a thing of lateral thinking puzzles. Lateral thinking puzzles are meant to sort of test your creativity, but because a lot of lateral thinking puzzles don't really have like much of a bound on them. They're not like constrained in any form. They're very loose and more like, here's a premise, make up an answer to a premise. Literally anything could be an answer, and that's not a very satisfying thing, because you could sort of just do whatever you want and come up with any wild and wacky, wonderful situations. Which you can argue that's like a creative exercise, I suppose, thinking of like idea generation. And yes, I agree, that is also a nice activity, but that shouldn't be what a lateral thinking puzzle is. A lateral thinking puzzle should have a reasonable, I suppose, through line to a reasonable solution, but also have room, I suppose, wiggle room for alternative interpretations and ideas to come into play, but still, you know, have enough of a rigid structure that it would have a semblance of semblance of order, I suppose, once you come to the solution, where you'd be like, yeah, that makes sense, rather than being like, oh, it could have been anything, it was rather arbitrary. And that's kind of what I like with Taskmaster tasks. A lot of them, they do have certain, I mean, I suppose it's probably helped by the fact that each like task it has a certain goal that they're always measured upon. Oh, we need to go visit Fawnhallow so we can actually give her some fossils, right? forgot what I was going to say about this. They have a certain goal that they need to achieve, so that makes it a lot easier to have some sort of like structured order, I suppose, that they need to do something, you know. And everything will be just sort of a means to help them towards that specific goal. But, Fauna, why is your house so annoyingly organised such that I can't immediately run up to you and give you a present? Alright, fine. Well, we'll check back in with Fauna at the end of the episode and we'll see if we can actually give her something to her. So that's why I quite like the Taskmaster task. But the lateral thinking book, I can't remember a lot of it. I actually think I still have it somewhere, but I don't know where it is, to be perfectly honest. But like the one that made me like most annoyed, which is probably why I remember it most, because I'd imagine a lot of them aren't like that wild and crazy. Some of them have what feels like very reasonable solutions. Like one of them was just like, oh, a man's found, like there were some actual riddles, I suppose. A man is found like perished, shall we say, in the middle of a field, and just an unopened package next to him. What happened to him? And then the answer they're looking for was that he was someone who was parachuting or intending to parachute, but the parachute did not deploy, and thus was the unopened package, and you know, he met his demise on the ground. That one is sort of just like okay, you know, while you can come up with a lot of different like solutions, like maybe he was a postal delivery man out delivering a really important package and then got assassinated along the way, or maybe he just like had a heart attack while he was like out playing Pass the Parcel or something. This one had a much more like it feels much more like a reasonable answer. I mean, I think the normal riddle has normally like more things added onto it to give it more structure. Things like he's in the middle of like a cornfield and the entire field around him is undisturbed or something. And there's probably more things, but I don't really remember off the top of my head, to be honest. You can look it up for yourself if you want. But the one that really annoys me was basically a man. The lateral puzzle, you can try and come up with a solution yourself, is a man walks into a room, is immediately scared and puts his hands up, and then laughs, then carries on. What happened? And I was just like, what? I don't know. Maybe like something shocked him, someone like jumped out at him, it was a bit of a prank or something. And then it was just like, oh, it was actually a robber robbing a house. He walked into a room and then he heard freeze. And then when he, you know, he's shocked, puts his hand up, and it turns out it was a parrot yelling freeze, mimicking its owner. So he laughed at a parrot and then continued on to rob the house. And I was like, what? That's the most absurd sort of solution to a lateral thinking puzzle. Sorry, I have a bit of sit there that I've ever heard. And, you know, rightfully so. I think I was a bit outraged about that one in particular. Because now I'm older, you know, I can look back with a semblance of, I'm not sure if understanding is quite the word I want, but like, I guess understanding, where I look back and be like, this sort of book is probably one of the books where they sort of like churn out things, you know. Just like those books which are like, oh, 500 jokes about Minecraft, and there's people just like writing down this utter nonsense because they just need to hit the number 500. It doesn't need to really be much of a semblance of a joke, and we're just sort of using a brand identity in a way, I suppose, to get people to buy it in the first place, rather than necessarily the content, or the quality of the content of a book. So it's probably one of those things where we're just like, oh, we need like 50 lateral thinking puzzles, you know. We scoured the internet for some really popular ones which can't be like trademarked or copyrighted already. Now we need to like fill the rest up with like 10 more, and then we're just like, okay, let's just think of weird situations and then just turn it into a puzzle somehow, which is, you know, I guess I can't really blame them in the end for trying to meet a quota and that sort of thing, you know. I would argue that if they're struggling, if there's that much sort of like kerfuffle, I suppose, trying to reach a quota in the first place, that perhaps a quota was not a good number to choose in the first place. Perhaps the specification was not quite up to snuff of what it should be. But anyway, but probably some other ones in there, I don't really remember. But lateral thinking puzzles, like, I don't know. I suppose it's kind of up to your own interpretation, because if you're a sort of person who loves these idea generations coming up with wild and wacky solutions, which I do, you know, given the context, given the right context, you might be like, oh, lateral thinking puzzles should be more like that, and they shouldn't have these certain, the things that you dear classify as lateral thinking puzzles are far too structured and structured and rigid, and have far too many like constraining rules, funneling into a desired answer, which doesn't express any room for creativity. And I think you have a valid point, but also I think that's probably just better classified as a creative thinking, a creative idea generation exercise, which is something I don't know. I think I talked about this one once as well. It was happened in our secondary school. It was basically like, I can't remember, it was like careers week or something, where we had to do things related to careers, and it was this like one assembly where basically they broke down the different sort of people who work in a team, and they had all these different roles, like the ideas generator, the chair, the leader, the engine or something. I can't really remember, and you know, all a bit unnecessary, because all you kind of really need is a project lead and everyone else, to be perfectly honest. And specialisation come into play depending, I suppose, on what actual project you're making. But what was I going to say from that? Oh yeah, like one of the things we had to do was a creative thinking exercise where we basically, I can't remember what it was. Was that like they gave us 2 erasers or something? It was basically like, think of as many different uses for these 2 erasers. Now you might be like, hey, you know, aren't you British? Shouldn't you said 2 rubbers? And you know, and I know I do have American viewers, so you know, I've got to be a bit cautious about how you phrase things, huh? Anyway, like, to a certain extent, some of his ideas are not particularly useful. Like I understand the concept about idea generating exercise and that sort of thing, but you know, a lot of the things, this one wasn't like, there wasn't much of a goal in mind except for get most ideas down. So what ended up being is we just started saying absolutely ridiculous things, like we, you know, start a religion around the rubber or something, or like worship it, or like, I don't know, sacrifice it to something, or trade it for like a house, etc, etc. Which is like, you know, okay, they're ideas, but you know, they're all worthless. So in the grand scheme of things, they're pretty pointless. You might not have just wasted your time saying them. And then this is where you can come in with the admin when you're doing some creative tasks, better to put all ideas down to really, you know, because if you start trying to like filter them before you put them down, I suppose in the first place you'll get to a situation where you might filter out a good idea because you're like, oh, that's too silly in the first place, which is fair enough, you know. It goes both ways, but I suppose normally those sort of tasks, or the times where that's relevant, is you'll be coming in with a mindset where like everything should work. Not everything should work, but anything goes. We're sort of here just establishing we want to put anything down, but because this task had no like refinement stage past it, it felt a little bit arbitrary and a bit pointless. In the grand scheme of things, so here's me critiquing my high school's, or secondary schools, I suppose, careers fair. Well, it's not careers fair, careers week. What are we like? We're still looking for the orange hair though, which we still haven't found, which perhaps it doesn't even exist. Who knows? Excuse me. Yeah, I can't really think of any other sort of lateral thinking puzzles. It's not something which has particularly come up all that often. I'll say, oh yeah, what other missions do we have? I probably should have checked that, huh? So customize, chop down a tree. I don't even know why I'm doing my missions anymore. We don't need them. If anything, we should just be vibing about talking to all our villagers, making sure that we still stay friends and that sort of thing. Look at that, a pellet landed on you. Some might say that's a lucky thing, but I'd say it just means you got some junk from a tree sticking on you. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like lateral thinking puzzles must be like the most, not controversial, but most, probably, not even divisive, probably the most disliked thing in the region of like those puzzles or like riddles sort of area, you know? You might disagree with me with that, but I feel like it's the sort of thing where, you know, me, I'm a very puzzle riddle-y focused person. I don't like these lateral thinking. Well, I don't like. It's more like I don't like some of the direction some lateral thinking puzzles take, but I do like other directions and that sort of thing. So you know, even I'm sort of like, I'm not such a big fan of it, and I'm a fan of puzzles. I think if you're someone who really likes the idea generation side of things, you'll probably be like, what's the point of a lateral thinking puzzle? Well, it's fun to sort of combine it with a puzzle element. I much prefer like when I can just have like an open mind map and very few restrictions, or have much more of a not ordered, but like a goal to really get to in the end, rather than lateral thinking puzzle, which is just like come up with a solution, come up with a situation, which, you know, is a goal, you could say, but is a rather arbitrary one. And then what else? It's like a weird in-between, I suppose, which satisfies no one. A compromise, you might say, and I'm not saying compromises are bad. I think a lot of time compromises are quite good, depending on the situation, but this is one of those moments where, unfortunately, it's missed a mark in the puzzling world, I'd like to think. Well, you know, I might be wrong. Perhaps I got the wrong sort of definition of a lateral thinking puzzle. That's why you go to Google. Do you think Wikipedia's got one? Lateral thinking puzzle. 20 challenging lateral thinking puzzles. Top 10 lateral thinking puzzles. Honestly, Wikipedia's got a page on that. Situation puzzle and lateral thinking both have things. Lateral thinking, yeah, using creative process. Like I'm not just saying lateral thinking. Lateral thinking is great. Situation puzzles. Oh yeah. I mean, to be fair, it's actually a fair point. Lateral thinking puzzles much more commonly are played in the sense that you pose a situation, and then one person is a host, and then everyone else can ask questions to them, and the host can only answer yes or no, and then you have to slowly uncover a mystery that way. I actually find those like almost worse in a certain sense, I suppose, because it becomes like sort of a strange guessing game. Well, I suppose guessing games can be fun. I'm not going to diss guessing games, but I don't find them as fun, I suppose. And, I'm not sure why exactly. They don't seem kind of fun. So something about me doesn't quite reach the satisfaction, I suppose. Because I suppose to me it's because a lot of those sort of lateral thinking puzzles solutions have to become very, very arbitrary, so people don't like just guess them or like hone in on it with a question immediately, that sort of thing. And the more sort of convoluted and unbelievable a certain idea or solution is, the more I'm just like not feeling it, you know. But I don't know if it's what everyone thinks of lateral thinking puzzles. So here we go, top 10 lateral thinking puzzles. Man of it, but this is one I always, you know, bit, some, you know, the ones which are more like a riddle, I quite like, but I suppose that's probably unsurprising, you know. Ooh, dear likes riddles. Who could have seen that one coming? Should we try and go back to Fawn's house to see if we can actually give her a prezi yet? Oh, she's out and about. Oh, she's right here. Hello. This for you. So the man in the elevator is a man who lives on the 10th floor of a building. Every day he takes the elevator to go down to the ground floor to go to work. Or every time he wants to leave his building, he goes down to the ground floor. And every time he returns back to his apartment, he takes the elevator back up to the 7th floor and to reach his apartment. He hates walking, so why would he do it? And then you can sometimes follow up questions and being like, oh, but you know, when it's raining, he'll go all the way up to his apartment floor, or like, I mean, this one kind of gives it away, but it's like if he's alone in the elevator, he'll always go up as if he's not alone in the elevator, he'll go up to his apartment floor, etc., etc. And you know, if you want to know what the answer is, it's because it's meant to be like he's pretty short, so he can't actually reach the 10th floor button. So he can only go up to the 7th floor and then push that button and take the stairs upwards. Which I don't know, I liked that more when I was younger. Now I'm listening to it and I'm just like, alright, I guess. And then like when it's raining, it's because he's got umbrella. When he's not alone in the elevator, he can always ask the other person. But if he's alone, then I should have read it out. That was in Springtime Dialogue. It's like falling petals in the snow or something. We haven't chatted then forever. Apparently, I've really been like not paying attention to my villages, haven't I? Late on me, Amelia. Why, Vitamin D, you simply must tell you about... You must let me tell you about this new reality show I've been watching. It delves deep into the wild and crazy life of a beloved yet controversial rock climbing star. Ooh, of course, I don't normally go into stories about rock climbing, but I confess I find the show enthralling. It nearly inspired me to try the sport myself. Alas, I'm allergic to sweating. I suppose it just wasn't meant to be. See, look at all this cool dialogue we've been missing out on. And you know what, we can actually talk to people who have thought bubbles above their head now, because we don't care if they want to move out. We'll just be like, no! So what's up, Rowan? Hey, good timing. I was thinking about our greeting. Maybe it's time we moved on from sheesh. It's not that I'm sick of it. I just think we need to change up if we want to keep everyone on the turns. How about this? No cap. I'm just trying to think of what other sort of like recent slang is. I'm going to say no cap is very old. Excuse me. Oh wait, that's not a cap. I thought I was cap sock. No cap. Okay, let me see if I got this. No cap. How's that? I used it right. That's good. I don't know why I did my voice like that. That's good. Based. So now he says no cap and based. Interesting, interesting. Should we do some daily exercises? Alright, man in the bar. Man walks into a bar, asks the barman for a glass of water. Barman pulls out a gun and points at the man. Man says thank you and walks out. I know this one as well. You have a second to think about it. I suppose if you want some yes-no questions, you might ask. I don't really know. You might be like, was a barman intending to shoot the man? No, would be my answer. And I can't think of any other questions to be asked. I suppose. Why didn't... oh, that's not a yes-no question. Did the man have a drink afterwards? No. Was the man intending to drink going into a bar? Yes. Was he intending to drink alcohol? No. Would he have drunk anything given to him? No. Would he have drunk if the barman didn't point a gun in his face? Yes. Did it have to be a gun? No. And then you might like, oh, okay. You know, he's trying to be spooked or something. Oh, it's because the guy had hiccups. He was trying to cure his hiccups. Man, if I only had rose-tinted glasses on, I was thinking back about some of these riddle-like things. These aren't particularly satisfying. That's what I say. There's sort of like, okay, yeah, fair. But there's not like a sort of sense of like when I solve a good puzzle, when just like, I've been spoiled by life of exposure to really nice puzzles. And for some reason, all of these like lateral thinking puzzles, all these riddles, they always had to feature some sort of murder for some reason. It always has to be like something dark. Someone has to die in every single one of these, and I'm like, why? Like this one's the man who hanged himself. Come on, you don't need that. You know, oh, here's one of the unopened package. But I was talking about earlier, the parachute one. But I think a lot of these I've heard before, but I don't remember this one. The deadly dish. 2 men went into a restaurant. They both ordered the same dish from the menu. After they tasted it, one of the men went outside the restaurant and shot himself. Why? I don't remember this one, but it's some very arbitrary thing of like it's some very arbitrary thing like the taste of a dish tasted like something which made him think of something, and then he realised that I can't remember. It was something like he hears on the radio about something, and then he figures out his wife is cheating on him or something. It's the dumbest thing. The dish that 2 men ordered was albatross. They've been stranded many years. Oh no, yeah, this earlier on a deserted island, and then a man tasted albatross, and then he was like, "What's this?" And then the other guy said it was albatross, but it's not. It was actually human. And then he realised or something. He ate the flesh of a son. Didn't know it was with him when it died. Oh my god. Which is, you know. I think it's certainly one of the worst parts of a lateral thinking puzzle, and you're just like, what? Like, okay, I can see why this is a solution, but, you know. I guess it's more of a presentation that lateral thinking puzzles kind of only have one solution when they shouldn't. They're much more like creative idea tasks, I suppose, which sort of rubs me the wrong way. Oh well. The whole character was Garth. This one's obviously a snowman. Sorry, spoilers. A woman had 2 sons who were born on the same hour, same day, and same month, but they were not twins. How could this be so? Same hour of same day of same month of the same year, but they were not twins. How could it be so? Because they were triplets. And 2 sons and a daughter or something. A man pushed his car. He stopped when he reached the hotel, and he knew he was bankrupt. That one's Monopoly. One day, a man received a parcel on post. Carefully packing inside was a human arm. He examined it, repacked it, and sent it on to another man. The second man also carefully examined the arm before taking it to the woods and burying it. Why do they do this? I don't think I've heard this one before. He received a parcel on post. It was a human arm. I don't know. Maybe he was some sort of criminal court case or something. This was something relevant. Let's see. The 3 men were stranded on a desert island. Desperate for food, they had agreed to amputate their left arms in order to eat them. They swore an oath that each of them would have a left arm cut off. One of them was a doctor, and he cut off the other 2 companions' arms. They were rescued, but his oath was binding, so he later had to have his arm amputated and sent to his colleague. Like, what? Why? This is such a stupid answer. The oath was binding? No, you know. If I cut off my arm to eat it for food, that's sort of my thing, and then, you know, all my friends agree to do it as well, and then we get rescued before they had to do it, I'm not going to be like, alright, you got to cut off your arm now. Like, what? This one's even worse than the other one, because it's not even, like, plausible, I think. It's stupid. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, arm of a postal service. It's like, you can come up with a better binding oath than this. Why do we have to be on a desert island? Just say like he owes money or something, aren't they? Heaven. Man died, went to heaven. There were thousands of people there. They were all naked, and all looked as they did at age 21. He looked around to see if anyone he recognised. He saw a couple and knew immediately they were Adam and Eve. How did he know? They didn't have belly buttons or something like this, right? Yeah. Alright, so that's some lateral thinking puzzles. Most of them not very good. I'm gonna be honest. I've kind of ruined these lateral thinking puzzles of these old riddles, which I used to like when I was younger. Now I'm looking back at them, not so great. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So I don't know. You know, practice your lateral thinking. I guess it's a good ability to have, but maybe don't do it for your lateral thinking puzzles. But if you have been watching, thank you very much. It's been Adam Quest New Horizons. I've been Dear Darling. Any likes, comments, subscription, shares are greatly appreciated. And join me, Dear Darling Discord. Follow me on Twitter down below. Hope to see each other again. But for now, it's farewell. So until next time. Bye bye for now.